Chefeteers, I'm Chef Nakia and I want you to be more confident in the kitchen. And today I'm going to share with you a few of my kitchen hot takes. I think that this does build our confidence in the kitchen because sometimes we might feel a little bit scared to share some of these hot takes, but once we do, we realize that there are more people out there who agree with us, which sometimes that, external validation can help build our confidence. Of course, if you've been around for a while, you know that I truly feel that external validation is not really necessary in our at-home kitchens. If you cook food and meals that you love and enjoy, and you're finding a lot of joy with the food that you're providing for yourself, then it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. But sometimes it can be fun to find other people who agree with us and what's the opposite of commiserate? Celebrate that. Our unique opinions together. So I would love for this video to be super interactive. So if you agree with any of my hot takes, let me know below. If you disagree with any of them, you can let me know that too. And then you can also drop your own hot takes in the comments. There's also on YouTube, the community tab has kind of changed. So I'm gonna start playing around with that. So depending on when you watch this video, you may go over to the community tab and be able to find a little poll or something there. Like I said, I am still kind of exploring it and figuring it out, but go ahead and jump on over to that community tab to kind of see what fun is going on over there. Now, as a chef who does kind of a lot of things, I will talk at you all here on YouTube and share some of my culinary knowledge with you here. I also go and cook in people's homes for dinner parties or just to prep them for the week. In addition to, I also help people who do not live in the Denver area with meal planning. And those who I help with meal planning who are in the Denver area, I can also do their grocery delivery for them. So I do have my little kitchen hands in all kinds of different steaming pots. So I have organized my hot takes to encompass a little bit of everything that I tend to help people with. So we will start with like the meal planning part of cooking, followed by some like food prep stuff. And then I'll just get into a couple specific food hot takes that I have for you. And if you love this video, please let me know because I could always make you another one. I'm sure that I have enough hot takes to fill a couple hours of film and I'm not gonna make you sit through that long of a video. So I have just kind of grabbed a couple of my favorite right now. All right, this first one is for those of you who have gotten to know me fairly well over the years. I'm sure it will not come as a surprise that I'm absolutely not a perfectionist and I don't think you should be one either. So hot take number one is your meal plan does not need to be perfect. And actually, if you are attempting to build a perfect meal plan, you're probably actually making the whole process harder than it needs to be. And in conjunction with that, whatever meal plan you do make, you definitely don't have to follow that perfectly either. How many of us think about the week ahead and then at the end of that week we look back and everything happened the exact way we thought it was going to? Life happens and there's so much that changes our days and our weeks through as the week is going on that yes, I can understand the desire to want to try to be proactive, but you're gonna drive yourself crazy trying to think through all of the potentials that could come up in your way. You guys always hear me talking about make a plan, think through your leftovers, plan for your leftovers. It's so great to have a plan, but the plan does not need to be perfect. Is whenever your days or your weeks do not go as planned, you still have one reference to look at to see, okay, now what leftovers can I do or what other meals can I kind of slot into next week? It's not like, did I execute this 100% perfectly? If you're someone who typically does try really, really hard to make your meal plan perfect, maybe next time you make a meal plan, write in pencil instead of pen, and try to have to erase something or another throughout the week. Right? Give yourself that permission and that grace to do that. Or if you are sitting there and it's like a puzzle that's maybe not quite fitting together, say, you know what, good enough, I'm gonna start with this and we'll see how the week comes together in time. And if you are someone who has found that they are wasting so much time putting together a meal plan because there's a lot of overthinking going on, join me in Chef at Table, because every Friday I send my Chef at Table people, the people hanging out at the table with me, I send them dinner recipes for the upcoming week along with a shopping list. So you can make sure that you are getting all of the ingredients for those recipes, and I customize those recipes for you and your family. So you tell me a little bit, like one time when you first sign up, you tell me a little bit about what you like to cook, what your family enjoys eating, if you have any dietary restrictions, or anything that you're really trying to focus on. For example, I would love to pack lunch to take to work most weekdays. So if I could have dinner recipes that have some leftovers and I can take those to work, then that would be great. And I will put together recipes that fit all of those needs, plus a lot of these recipes use similar ingredients. Overall, the flavor profiles are pretty different because I don't want you to get bored eating like the same flavors all week. But we can utilize similar ingredients in pretty different style recipes, and that way you are minimizing the amount of food that you are tossing at the end of the week because you're gonna use it all up. And if you don't follow that meal plan perfectly, it's totally fine. You can let me know that you still have half of a butternut squash, and I will be sure to include that in your next week's meal plan so that you know how to eat it all up. And my last hot take for meal planning is the best meals to put on your meal plan are the meals that you are the most excited to eat. And that's another reason why I care so much about finding my recipes that match my clients' specific flavor and texture preferences. Because whenever you see the recipe or see a picture of a food, or you remember a food that you've cooked before and you're like, oh my gosh, that was so good, I'm so excited to eat that. Oh, that came together really easily, or I feel super confident cooking that, then you're gonna be so much more likely to actually cook that and enjoy that. And if one of your goals is eating at home more often, then stacking your meal plan with a bunch of meals that you're super excited to eat is gonna be the best way to achieve that goal. My next hot take might be my most controversial one. You let me know. I think that measuring cups are really dumb. Even measuring spoons, I'm like, if you have to, like, go for it, fine. I can't remember the last time that I actually used a measuring cup. If I am going to bake something, if I am doing a baking recipe, I will weigh all of my ingredients because volume measuring is not accurate enough. You need something that is more accurate than a cup or half cup measure. So I use a scale to weigh out all of my ingredients. And if I'm cooking something, I'm just letting my soul guide me. Now, the caveat to this is whenever I am writing recipes for you all, yes, I will weigh everything out so that I have an accurate measure so that I can tell you exactly what I did. That way, if there are people out there who really do like measuring things, they have that information. But for the most part, I believe that cooking, and especially once you're pretty familiar and confident in your kitchen, you're gonna be able to eyeball things, and as you're seasoning your food, you don't wanna be like measuring out a teaspoon of that and half a teaspoon of this and a third of a tablespoon of that, right? You can just sprinkle it on to your desired coverage and you're good to go. And then as far as like making sauces and whatnot, it's all in proportions anyway, and so once you get familiar with the way that a sauce should be coming together, the viscosity, if you need to add a little bit more of your thinnest liquid, thin it out a little bit, you don't need to be measuring those things. You'll just, as you're working with it, you're gonna see like, okay, this needs a little bit more liquid. Let me stir that in. You can taste something. This needs a touch more salt, or this needs a little bit of acid. You just add that in. Especially with cooking, measuring just creates more dishes, and that's not what I'm interested in doing. I would rather spend more of my time actually cooking and less of my time washing dishes. So yeah, no, measuring cups are not my friend. Always let your soul measure your spices. Now, anyone out there who sells like Pampered Chef or like those style goods, whatever, things are probably gonna hate me for this one, but you're probably overthinking your cooking tools. You probably have too many kitchen gadgets, and buying this unique type of single-use kitchen equipment is probably not gonna make your cooking any better. A lot of these gadgets that I've seen are really just very unique versions of knives. So most of the time, if you have like a solid chef's knife and a cutting board, you can probably do the same thing as that mandolin does, or that garlic press does, or that strawberry slicer does. And I get it, it can be fun to have different gadgets, but again, it's another thing to clean. I bet that I could go through most people's kitchens and get rid of at least 25%, if not up to 50% of all the kitchen gadgets they have, by asking, number one, how many uses does this have? And if it's one or less, then gone. And then number two, have you used this in the last year? And if the answer is no, it's gone. And I think we could find a whole lot of cabinet space in those kitchens. With popular gift giving season coming up, let me just remind you, you probably don't need more kitchen gadgets, you probably need less. So consider telling those kitchen gadget gift givers in your lives, maybe hold off this year. You probably don't need to buy another countertop appliance. And some of you might know the one that I am famous for not being a huge fan of, the air fryer. The air fryer is just like a tiny oven. It's just another tiny oven. It's just forced hot air around your food. It's not frying anything, it's baking things. So you probably don't need one unless if you don't have an oven, totally understand it. If you don't have a toaster oven, I get it. You know, if you're remodeling. Though I would highly recommend a toaster oven over an air fryer, like it's way more versatile. But anyway, you might not even need a toaster oven though, because if you do have an oven, you don't really need a toaster oven. You just marry someone who happens to have one and you don't want to throw it away yet, and you actually use it more than you thought you would. But doesn't mean you need to buy a new appliance. I do have a food processor, and I do love using my food processor for a few certain tasks. However, I have seen many a food processor in many kitchens where the person has never used it. Or maybe they used it for like one recipe as soon as they got it, and they haven't found a reason to use it since. So definitely think critically about any new kitchen gadgets or countertop appliances that you're bringing into your kitchen. Just because it's new and shiny and seems like a cool innovation to you doesn't actually mean that it's gonna make your cooking any better, any quicker, or any cleaner. All right, now food bloggers don't come for me, but every recipe on the internet was not created equally. And there are a lot of bad recipes on the internet. A lot of recipes that were never tested. A lot of recipes that were maybe created in a more industrial style setting than what you're going to be using at home. And for anybody who lives at a higher, like in Colorado here, the majority of recipes were developed at sea level or sea level-ish altitudes. And that's not necessarily going to have a huge impact on every single recipe that you use. And I did address this in a video a long time ago, so I'll link that here. And if you have a lot of questions about sea level cooking versus high altitude cooking and all of that, I could make an updated one, so let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. But if you expect every single internet recipe to work flawlessly the first time. You're probably going to be very disappointed. And all of that was true up until like 2023, 2024, and now in 2025, it's even more true with the amount of AI slop recipes, which also did a video for that. Not only do we have poorly written and untested recipes from people, we also have AI written recipes that like possibly no human's eyes could have ever like looked at before you. Just be aware that not every recipe from the internet is gonna make a delicious meal. And just because there's a beautiful photo or a couple beautiful photos accompanying that recipe doesn't mean that it's gonna be a delicious recipe either. There are some people who are really, really good at food photography, not so good at recipe writing. A beautiful photo does not immediately mean delicious food. We're almost done, guys. I've got 2 more, and then I would love to hear what your hot takes around food and cooking are in the comments below. And then I think this one is actually gonna be the one that most people disagree with, and that's all right. Okay, I believe that the salads that are the most worth making are best without dressing. So there are like a million different ways that you can make a salad. And I love building salads in which there's so many, a variety of different flavors and textures and different types of ingredients, so that there's so much going on. There are so many interesting flavors and textures within that salad that you really don't need a dressing or an extra sauce on top. There's plenty there in that salad as it is to keep you excited as you're eating the whole thing. So some ways that I enjoy doing this is playing with textures, in that if I have a softer lettuce, then I will make sure to include a couple crunchier ingredients in it. Or if I have a crispier lettuce, I'll be sure to add juicy or some more tender ingredients. And then to bring in a creamy element without using a dressing, cheeses are great for that. Also, avocado is gonna make your salad super creamy and delicious. Another thing that dressings will oftentimes bring a salad is like a saltiness. You can add salty to your salad with like salted toasted nuts or seeds. You could roast vegetables and season those vegetables, salt and other stuff, before adding them. Also olives, I love like olives. You can even dice up like pickles or pickled vegetables. Like a pickled onion is a great salad topping. Also, croutons can easily add both a crunchy element and a salty element. My favorite way of dealing with, keeping exciting flavor in the salad is by using many different vegetables or fruits and vegetables and what I would consider more of like garnish type elements of a salad. So like the nuts or seeds, croutons, cheeses, capers, olives, pickled things, like all of those fun extra things, so that every bite of your salad is really delicious. And as you're eating through your salad, you can grab like 2 or 3 different ingredients and to create a bite and see how those flavors interact. And then on your next bite, you can choose 3 completely different ingredients and see how those interact, and just, continue that throughout your whole salad. And then you've eaten the whole salad and you don't even realize that there was no dressing. Mostly this comes from I'm kind of lazy and I'd rather not like make a fresh dressing for each salad. But also I really have a lot of fun building salads with a variety of different ingredients, and so by just dumping a dressing on top, I feel like it takes some of the fun away from really thinking through, okay, what all components am I going to marry together in this salad? So in my book, the salads that are the most worth eating and enjoying, the ones that are going to be the most delicious, are the ones without a dressing. If you love your Caesar salads, yeah, I get it. You can't have a Caesar salad without the dressing. That's fine. It's just such a basic and, in my opinion, kind of boring salad. So I'm not gonna spend my time making a Caesar, unless a client asks me to make one for them. But like for myself, to eat for myself, to me is not worth the time if I'm just gonna dump a dressing on it. I'd rather like make myself a bowl of pasta with a delicious sauce if I'm gonna like eat something saucy. But that's me and my hot take. And these are all of my current hot takes that I'm gonna share with you today. This video I feel like has gotten quite long, so I won't share any more right now, but if you loved this, be sure to subscribe and follow this channel if you want to become more confident in the kitchen, if you want to find friends and a community to express your hot takes around food with and see who agrees or disagrees with you. And I hope that you cook a delicious and joyful meal soon. Thank you so much, Chefeteers.